It's time for Twig This Week in Google, episode 58. It looks like Google dodged a bullet. Apple couldn't pull the trigger. We'll talk about Apple's announcements, the new Apple TV, how it affects Google TV, and a whole lot more. Gina and Jeff are here. I'm glad you're here, too. This Week in Google is next.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Bandwidth for This Week in Google is provided by Cachefly. Cachefly.com. This is Twig, This Week in Google, episode 58, recorded September 1st, 2010. Professor 2.0. This Week in Google is brought to you by GoToMeeting. Improve your conference calls and keep everyone on the same page when you share your screen with GoToMeeting. For your free 30-day trial, visit gotomeeting.com/twig. It's time for Twig, the show that covers the latest from Google and the cloud. Gina Trapani is in the cloud. See, she's floating along, little puffy little cloud.
What up?
What up, Gina? Gina is the blogger at smarterware.org, creator of Lifehacker, and she writes and works. It's not just writes anymore for Fast Company. Does video for Fast Company.
My first video came out today.
Yay!
Fastcompany.com/worksmart. It's not Leo's, but it's the first episode. Check it out.
Fastcompany.com/worksmart. I'm typing it right now. /worksmart. And is WorkSmart the name of your show?
Yeah, it's the name of the series.
With Gina Trapani.
There she is.
A weekly productivity Q&A. Hey,
It's
that's
an
exciting.
Apple TV ad.
Is there? Oh yeah,
yeah,
look at that.
It's the smart meeting notes. It's the top post is the new video.
Oh, that's an ad, not an ad. That's a post.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's a
okay.
post.
Kind of does look like an ad, though. I don't blame you.
Sure did.
Apple TV transformed. Given market-killing price of $99, what they left out here is Google breathes a sigh of relief, in my opinion.
And Amazon, too.
And Amazon, too. And Roku. And a lot of people, Samsung, a lot of people in this business of television, internet television and apps, I think must have watched with trepidation as Apple entered the market. And in this case, Apple, I think, chose to be a pretty conservative.
What's the one thing you think that they should have done, could have done to be disruptive?
You bought one, so they must have done something right, Jeff.
The price.
$99. He bought it just because it was cheap.
Yeah, and as I said before, I've already gotten crap from people. You can spare me, people. I've already gotten lots of Twitter jokes about how I'm going to rebox it.
Which is what you did with the iPad.
Yeah.
So the idea is Apple TV was always, Apple says, a hobby. They announced this with a slide that said, oh, one more thing, and thing was crossed out and said hobby. So they're clearly not attempting to take over the world here. But they reinvented Apple TV, taking out any storage, putting the A4 chip in it, making it much smaller, no fan, no power brick, and silent, and because it doesn't have any storage, it's a streaming device only. They announced 99-cent television show rentals, not purchases. They said no more purchases because where would you put it? And since they don't have cloud storage yet, you can't store it with Apple, so 99 cents, and you have to rent it for 2 days. Movies will be $2.99 to $4.99, depending on how new they are. I'll tell you where I think they went wrong, Jeff. I think they had a huge opportunity, given that it is obviously an iOS device running an A4 chip, to put apps on it. I really thought they were going to basically do an iPhone with an HDMI connector and perhaps an iPhone remote control, an iPad remote control, or even the Magic Trackpad, but sized for that screen. And apps. Apps would have been huge. It would have given companies like Fox and NBC and ABC a chance to make their own app to go right to the users. Netflix would have been an automatic because Netflix is already on the iPhone and the iPad. And
Google TV is going to be Chrome-based, right? Or
it's Android-based, right?
Android-based.
So
it will have apps.
Google,
yes,
we guess so. That's what they demoed, right? And so Google now suddenly can steal a march on them. We talked about it a lot on Mac Break Weekly, and the consensus was Apple was conservative here and probably felt like Google would fumble it. So they weren't too worried. But I think this was Apple's last chance to make a preemptive move. They could have gone in there so strong, given how many apps there are out there, how many partnerships they have with apps, that would have just knocked Google out of the box. Gina, what do you think? You didn't buy one, did you?
I did not buy one, but they did nail the price point. I mean, the price point on all the things that they announced today was really very, very tempting. It does seem like just kind of they had to refresh Apple TV to have something to compete with Google TV, which is due out for the holiday season, right? So I mean, we're probably looking at like November, December, right? I'm not sure if Google gave a release date, but they didn't. But man, it's sexy. It's small. It's gorgeous. I can totally understand why Jeff bought it.
I already have one of these. This is a Roku box. Actually, you do too, because we sent you one.
Thanks to you.
Yes.
And it does all of the things. We get Netflix on it. We can get Amazon rentals as well as purchases. It's got an app store that puts TWiT on there, Pandora, all your slideshows. It really has the functionality. In fact, it has the functionality plus of the Apple TV. It's just a little bit bigger, but not much. I can still hold it in the palm of my hand. Why, Gina, would you buy, or actually I should ask you, Jeff, why would you buy that when you've already got this?
I'm going to blame you when my wife asks why'd you buy this. Well, I'm on This Week of Google. I have to know these things.
Okay, so this is the problem with all of us. I mean, we buy these things because it's our job. But if you were,
here's somebody in Twitter, a German correspondent named, let me give him his credit, Karsten Lem, who says, it made a gadget an impulse buy.
Yeah, because it's $99.
$99, right?
Why don't people buy Roku boxes? They're $89.
They just don't have the brand recognition.
On your Mac Break show was that it also syncs with My World in iTunes.
Yeah.
That's powerful.
By the way, that's another thing Apple announced that kind of relates to us. They announced a social network called Ping that's built into iTunes. It's music sharing, music discovery, artists. It has a Twitter model where you can follow people or you can be more public, but you could have a completely private feed if you want. Again, I thought lacking courage. I thought it was an opportunity to preempt a Google Me and perhaps steal a march on Facebook and Twitter. It certainly puts MySpace out of business because now if you're an artist, I don't know, do independent artists get to create accounts on there? I don't know. If you're an artist, it seems to me that's an opportunity.
That's a really good point.
Yeah. Go ahead.
But can you get to Ping in the browser? I mean, you have to use iTunes,
use iTunes.
That is just such a bad idea.
It's very retro.
Yeah, I mean, the idea of connecting to my Facebook account in iTunes just makes me want to hurl. Like, I'm just like, double twist me, please. Like, I can't, I can't deal with that idea. It feels like just another reason why I don't want to use iTunes. And why would you build a whole nother web browser? I mean, suddenly you're browsing web content and iTunes. I don't know. I mean, I think this is going to work for a lot of people who are just super invested in their iTunes library. And I think there are a lot of people that are after having, 5 or 6 iPods over the years. But yikes. I mean, if you can't get the Ping in the web browser, it's like useless. I feel like.
Well, I think more the fact that you can't get it through Facebook.
Well, that's we're not clear about that.
Just make a Facebook app for this. There are competitive music taste apps in Facebook. People are also invested in.
This is really Apple.
Their friends are there.
This is 100% Apple.
So Apple.
Walled garden, our way or the highway. You do it within our universe. They certainly make money at this. I don't think it promotes anything that you and I think is any good. It's not about the link economy. It's not open. It's proprietary. Right. I think it's
not social.
It's not social, really. It's social within a limited.
Social. This is as social as an 80s disco.
Right.
I guess. But Apple has the velvet rope, the walled garden, whatever you want to say, and I think that's the issue for both Google and Apple is that they're just not social companies. Apple's a design company, and Google's a tech company, and Facebook is a social company. Right.
That's why Facebook wins over and over and over again.
They understand. I don't know if I said this when I was up there in the cottage. If I did, stop me, Leo. But when I talked to Zuckerberg when I interviewed him about the idea that he was creating a data for data economy, and he said, "No, you're the wrong framing. It's an interaction for interaction. The reason people do this stuff is to interact with other people. It's not to get information and things like that." And so he's just always looking at it in a social frame, and Apple can't, and Google can't.
Interesting. Very interesting.
Did Steve look particularly sad and muted when he was discussing the social stuff, and then kind of perk up when he talked about that's what my friends were like. Steve seems morose. He hates social networking.
It's like he had to do it.
Because he had to do it.
He had to do it. It could very well be.
Bloggers.
It could very well have been demanded by the labels, because of course the big winners on this are artists and labels who are going to create artist pages, sell more records. And I'm sure the labels were saying, look, iTunes is going to get out of date if you don't put some social in it pretty damn quick. So I think it may well be just the labels made him do. That's how Steve acts when the labels make him do something morose.
What was the last time Apple did social? I mean, back to the days when, way back when. What was their portal and access service?
Oh, what was the name of that?
Was Mobile Me social at all?
Never. No. They had a service.
That, way back when, they had their own basically access service.
Which I was a member, and they had like a picture of a town, and you were moving around.
It was their own AOL.
Yeah, and it was a big flop.
Chat room
will tell us in a minute. Yeah, chat room will tell us. eWorld, was that it?
That's what they say.
I guess it was eWorld.
Yeah, a bunch of people saying eWorld. .Mac.
It was so little remembered.
Clearly, it made an impression.
Yeah.
I wonder if was that their last and only time to do social?
Yeah, as far as I know. So Apple has couldn't.
If you Google Apple eWorld, of course you get the images
right.
For old time's sake.
Right. Apple couldn't jump off the cliff. They couldn't quite bring themselves to go after Facebook or go after Google. Does Google now have an opportunity with Google TV, and can they make it happen? Can they execute? I think they have an opportunity, but I think there's a lot of reasonable questions about whether they can execute on that opportunity. There's the eWorld town.
Isn't that cute?
I remember that very well. And it's that Mac System 7 look.
What year was this?
Well, let's see. That was a long time ago.
Before your time, young lady.
You know what? She probably wasn't born, Jeff.
No.
That's so depressing. That's so friggin' depressing.
1985.
Gina!
Oh, come on.
Okay, you were 3 years old.
10 in 85.
10. Okay.
Yes.
10. Oh, you old lady.
Oh, at that age, she was probably programming for it.
Yeah,
I was starting to learn BASIC at 10. I was. On my PC Junior. I didn't have a Mac when I was a kid.
Wow. So once again, does Google now have an opportunity? You know, there are even people out there who say, "Oh, is it 90? It says 94 and 96. It was the early 90s."
Yeah, it was before browser.
Oh, Apple Link was 85. So eWorld was 94 to 96. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Tom is in the studio.
Badly timed with the launch of the commercial browser in October '94.
Yeah. Something happened called the Internet.
Yeah.
Mosaic.
People didn't really want a browser anymore.
Well, I mean, Google is making deals with hardware manufacturers. That's maybe one advantage. But
there are those who say this isn't ever going to happen. That we'll never be able to get this to happen. That Google TV is pie in the sky. You think we'll actually see a device?
Really, it's when you get down to it in the end, if you can bring Android or Chrome to the TV, that's the goal. Because through that, you get the world of entertainment. You get the web. And if you can do it at a decent structure and put a business model behind it, then it's not as if it's that hard.
What's hard? User interface is hard. And Apple knows it and does it and is good at it. Boy, you look at that new Nano, and I mean, oh my God, that's gorgeous. Postage stamp size screen. They know they're the only people who could do it. I wouldn't expect Google to be able to execute on that.
It's two problems, Leo. I think it's UI and it's the last inch.
Yeah, the last inch is tough too.
Right, the connection to the internet to the TV is still elusive.
But let's say Google makes a box, roughly the same size, same price. It would be Logitech, I guess, is the manufacturer, that you hook up via HDMI. It's running Android. You control it from an Android phone. This is, by the way, it's not even the last inch. It's the last 6 feet, because you got the inch, which is the hockey puck to the TV. It's how do you get to the hockey puck? How do you control that? Do you have to have an Android phone? Well, that's not a very good solution. What do you have, a wireless keyboard and mouse? That's really an awful solution.
Web TV time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, we've been there before. Maybe I'm wrong. You don't want the browser.
No.
You just want TV. I just got a new Sony TV. Remember I was speaking to Sony? They didn't pay me. I got a TV instead. And it has the internet connection.
I'll take it. Yeah.
And my wife's not happy because we didn't need another TV and we're going to pay taxes on it now. But that's another story. It's a great TV. I'm happy. 52 inches. It's really nice.
Oh, that's nice.
Great picture.
And it has apps, doesn't it? It has Ethernet and it has apps.
Yeah, it does. But, I can't get us on it.
No. We're on the Popcorn Hour and the Yahoo TV. Is Pandora on it? Is Netflix on it?
Didn't look.
Netflix must be on it, right?
But the problem is that we're heading towards something far worse than Betamax. The balkanization here.
Right.
That, people start doing deals and you can get it on this box and not that box. That's going to be killing for the explosion of TV. And it's in the interests of both the cable companies and the TV networks for this to stay balkanized as long as possible.
Oh, well, at least the cable companies for sure.
Yes.
If I'm a content creator, or I own a lot of content like the networks do, I'd love to disintermediate the cable companies.
I think so at some point, but they also get a guaranteed monetization from those cable companies. They own cable channels that are subsidized ridiculously because we don't want them. We have to pay for them. Stephen Levitan, the creator of Modern Family, has been out there rather troglodyte-ish, complaining about being on Hulu even.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. I can't stand. I love the show, and I can't stand him for it. I want to.
He's old school.
Very.
Yeah, he's been around the TV world a long time. I wouldn't expect him to have that modern point of view, even though the show's Modern Family.
My prediction for Google TV is that it's going to be kind of the nerd's choice of media center. So. It's going to be super hackable. You're going to be able to install an app and get your BitTorrent feeds set up instantly, and you're going to be able to watch, anything. So
we're nowhere. We're basically no advantage at all. This is probably what happened. Apple took a look, thought about it, said, "There's no hurry. We can continue on as we have. Let's just slowly enter this market and do it right rather than rush." And try to beat Google at the game because Google isn't going to be a problem.
How is this right?
Well, it is iOS. It is an A4. They could remember the iPhone didn't come out with apps at first. They could.
Okay, all right.
Next year they could. Next month they could the firmware upgrade. Put more on it. They probably. I have a feeling that there was a little time pressure from Apple's point of view because the deals weren't falling into place for content. They got Disney and barely got Fox through Rupert Murdoch. It was apparently a tough negotiation. So I think that they felt like, well, we don't have the deals in place. There's no hurry. Google's going to flop. Google's going to fumble this. We don't have to worry. Roku is our competition? Take your time. That's probably what happened. All right.
Makes sense.
Enough about Apple. Who cares? Apparently, Google's got a big problem with a brain drain. According to an article in TechCrunch, people are leaving Google for Facebook. It's not the only company, by the way, losing people to Facebook. I think this happens always in Silicon Valley. There's an ebb and flow depending on whose stock is perceived as being more valuable. Of course, Facebook's not public yet, but if they're offering big options in an IPO down the road, that might be much more valuable than the Google stock, which is already pretty high.
The TechCrunch post gives the example of somebody who was offered a huge raise and a $500,000 staying bonus and still left. That's because Facebook has Zucker bucks. Those are valuable. 1 million Zucker bucks. All the wood chips you can burn.
Yeah, baby. Look at that. Actually, he looks pretty good on a dollar bill. That's what that Illuminati
related
jacket.
To that, there's a story up there that Facebook is going to sell gift cards for virtual currency at Target.
At Target. Not for anything real, but
isn't that amazing?
Facebook bucks.
Buy this card with this made-up currency to buy made-up things.
You know how well that's going to do. Now, it's not Zynga dollars, right? It's so what because Facebook stopped selling the virtual goods. So what is it that Facebook sells now?
But don't they?
They used to have you could buy like a fake, an image of a gift basket for $1. And Gina, congratulations on your birthday. And I'd give you an image, and it cost me real money. But I think they stopped doing that.
But I know that it cost you real money, so it touches me even more.
Oh,
that's what it is.
It's the Zucker bucks that count.
Social games that can be played by free for some.
Oh, so it is Zynga.
Zynga.
You can go to 7-Eleven, you know, and get Zynga dollars right now.
Oh, you can now? Really?
Yeah.
Oh, you're kidding.
Yeah. They even have Farmville. They have like a Farmville coffee cup. They have all this crap. Zynga's way ahead of Facebook on this one. And you know what? It pains me to admit it, but I think that this is brilliant because think about it. Okay, your mom, let's say your mom. I know somebody whose mom plays Farmville all the time. Not my mom, but another person whose mom plays Farmville all the time. She would love a gift card that says, look, you could buy a pony. It costs me $10, makes her happy. It's brilliant. And the truth is, what is the production cost of a virtual pony?
0.
It's all profit.
Yep.
Unbelievable. This is a bigger scam than the state lottery.
It really is. This is the fall of the Roman Empire, folks.
Just think if we actually... I saw an article. I didn't put it in our feed, but there was an article on Wired about how much time people actually spend in these virtual games. And I think that one of the games, I think it's the one I play, We Rule, it's something like 2.2 billion hours of farming. If people actually farmed for 2.2 billion hours, we'd be in great shape. If they did anything real for 2.2 billion hours, we'd have some real asset, you know, real surplus.
I comfort myself with thoughts of Wikipedia and open source projects when I think about that. Like, there are some people who, you know, I mean, there's lots of ways to spend your time. Some people do it gaming, which is just entertainment, and other people do it editing Wikipedia.
Gaming dig.
You know? Yeah.
This is the point of Clay Shirky's, yeah.
Well, I know. I think the cognitive surplus, we got to wonder a little bit. Maybe there ain't such a cognitive surplus. Clay says...
well, it's a question of how we choose to use it. Yes, we have the surplus, but we choose to use it buying fake cows.
Yep.
What a world. What a world. I
met with Sue Gardner from Wikimedia, the chairman of the Wikimedia Foundation, and they just finished a year-long strategy effort, which is frightening to think of. You get a headache thinking about Wikipedians collaborating on strategy, but it seems to have worked pretty well. 1,000 Wikipedians, 26,000 pages, some very good ideas there, and they want to increase the diversity of people contributing in a place like the U.S., and they want to increase the reach in places like India. And it's really fascinating to see the value that's created. The value of Facebook's been estimated at $5 billion.
Wow.
They say that by calculating just the time put in editing, I've said this before in the show, but never used the figure, now I can, that they ascribe a low per hour labor value to the edits, and it adds up to $700 million a year of effort.
Oh, isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing?
It's incredible.
That's Clay's point. That's where the creativity and the cognitive surplus go.
You know, I also saw Beth Novick, who's the head of the Obama, Transparent Government initiative, and was talking about how you can harness that kind of effort for government. And her example, which I liked, was that the Social Security site needs to be translated into languages and probably needs to be translated into English too. That's something that we could do out here. You could use Wikipedia, Wiki software, and we could just take these functions on and do them. And you wonder, what does it need to make that happen?
Well, this is kind of the Government 2.0 special we did last Friday.
You need a community catalyst, right? You need someone who's create that platform, and then a good leader that kind of bring people in and track people. Right now, the open source software that I developed, ThinkUp, which the White House uses, our community is just on fire. The mailing list actually has been rocking today. We're having this great discussion about, but so much has happened and so many people have contributed, and it's so cool to see folks just volunteer their time because they're interested and they want to use this thing and they have great ideas. And when you put people kind of with the same interest and smarts and experience in a room, it's amazing what happens. I mean, I've been doing this for years. My whole career has been based on crowdsourcing. Lifehacker was just me in the wheel with at the wheel with a bunch of people just pushing me with tips and comments and links. And so I mean, I've been doing this for a long time, but I'm still amazed at the magic that can happen when you get the right people together to collaborate. So it's just a matter of creating that platform and then having the leader, having the Linus Torvalds, to kind of inspire people and to shepherd them along and give them the virtual cookie and encouragement and all that. The community management, I think, is the real skill.
I think we can accept that people are always going to waste time.
Yeah.
That's normal. It's not the end of the world. People have to have leisure. But what's great...
I think Apple fanboys are saying we're doing that right now on Twitter.
But it's great that You can also put the same energies into something else. Maybe both. Maybe you spend some time in Farmville and some time on an open source project. And I think it's the same kind of thing. The tools are there to get that done. People are always going to waste time, but there is an opportunity now to do this kind of thing, and I think that's great. The partner article to the article that we were just talking about the brain drain, is from the San Francisco Chronicles website, the SF Gate. Facebook working hard to avoid Google's fate. Interesting idea, the premise of which is that despite the fact that Google does very, very well, all of its money, 95% of it, comes off of search, and search growth revenue growth is slowing. And you're not going to have the kind of growth. And by the way, the stock market loves growth and the multiples of growth. They don't care if you're profitable. You got to grow and grow fast, which is why Google's stock price is starting to tank, why Google's losing talent to Facebook. And so the ex-Googlers, according to this article, and I should give credit to Nicholas Carlson. Actually, it's from the Business Insider. Gates republishing it. So Nicholas Carlson, running the Business Insider, says the ex-Googlers running Facebook, starting with COO Sheryl Sandberg, are determined to avoid turning Facebook into a one-trick pony, relying on a single revenue stream. So among things that they're doing are search ads. The like buttons give them a hierarchy of web pages, much like PageRank, but also Facebook credits in games, which you could sell in Target. Pay with Facebook on third-party commerce sites, kind of a PayPal play. Amazon's done that quite well. Google's doing that, really. I see Google checkout on a lot of sites. Local coupons. With the Places feature, it's kind of like Groupon, where you can have coupons that are tied to your location. Brand advertising. Of course, you're going to sell display ads. By the way, those ads are doing quite well for Facebook. And off Facebook brand advertising, because people use Facebook Connect to log in. You can tie in that way, too, and make some money there, too. So, interesting article. It does make a lot of sense. Facebook has a lot of ways to go. Do you think Google's in trouble? Do you think Google needs to? They certainly are obviously looking for additional revenue streams. Is this when you did your research for the book, What Would Google Do, Jeff? Was this thinking going on inside Google?
I don't really know. The questions they asked me after the book came out were more about their PR, but that was from PR people.
Okay.
Which I think is an issue.
It is an issue. Absolutely, yeah.
It's true for both. Eric Schmidt has said always, we get 90-some% of our revenue from advertising. We love advertising, period. But he also says that the board is pushing for more diversity of revenue streams, and they don't really have it. I would never write them off. I think that their big strategy is mobile going forward, and there's a lot of growth to be had there. The problem is that in each one of these new media, the revenue goes down. Right? Mobile's not a good advertising platform. It'll be better. It's much better with maps. I mean, I'm using the voice control of maps and things like that, and I think there's a lot of potential there, but that's very hard to sell. You need to scale that, which is hard and expensive. So there's growth there, but it's hard growth. I think the problem that Google has always said, Schmidt has said, this is what I said and what has been said to me, is the problem is the company becomes too big. And I think that Wave, and sorry, Gina, and Buzz, and these efforts are the problem of size.
Right. Well, you don't know where to. It's difficult. You want to have diversity in a lot of ideas and try a lot of things out, but if you do that, it's hard to throw all your weight behind it. So a lot of these, and we see this happen with Google, are tossed to the wind and with no support, and they just wither away like Wave.
I heard that the way that the Wave team was structured, that Wave was more like an acquisition than it was an internal project. I think that Lars and his team down in Sydney were kind of treated like a separate startup, separate from the main company, and that they had certain goals to meet within like a year, and they just didn't meet them. This is kind of the background story a little bit. So it was like, and the understanding was if they didn't meet their goals, then they were, they just weren't going to get it just wasn't going to keep going. So they didn't. So I think Wave was structured a little differently, especially just location. You know, they were on the other side of the world, and I definitely got a sense that there was some disconnection with the rest of the company when I talked to the Wave team at I/O. So I think that was a special situation. But I think this, you know, Android versus Chrome OS and Buzz and a lot of other products that kind of started up and didn't go anywhere, SideWiki, Null, all these kind of little things here and there that we all forgot about, do indicate that there's definitely fragmenting.
And they damage Google a little bit because you don't, you know, you don't get the network effect. You don't get people jumping on board unless you feel. I mean, if Google does a Google Me, and I have to say this as a Google fanboy, at this point, I'm going to stand back and watch. And I bet a lot of people feel that way. Like, well,
the irony is that they were the brilliant ones at the beta and at labs. And they got, I don't know what it is, they just got cocky or something, and it changed the structure so that, no, we have to release, you know, Buzz as a done product without the beta. If Google just said, hey, we're trying some stuff out, it may work, it may not, we all get that.
Right.
And things don't make it out of labs, okay. But Google, I think, does hurt themselves when they say, we're behind this, and they're not. And you listen to, you know, Dodgeball. Dennis Crowley. It was obviously an unpleasant experience. He had the same across-the-world problem. He was in New York.
Yep.
They could have had Foursquare. They could have had a real jump on Facebook and a real jump on Apple and local, and they blew it. That's to me, one of the worst mistakes they've made. They obviously don't know how to acquire companies. If Gina, I think you've got a point about that, and I think these two are parallel stories then.
So one monetization path, YouTube may be starting pay-per-view movies. This rumor from Financial Times says that Google will launch the service first in the United States, but is in talks with studios worldwide. It's kind of what Apple's doing, isn't it, with their new iTunes streaming store? But you know, Steve, it was interesting. In Steve's speech today, there were a couple of shots at Google. Shot one early on was Steve said, well, somebody's mentioning how many activations they have a day. Did you know we have 230,000 activations a day? And that doesn't include upgrades, which those other guys are counting. Now, we have no idea, if, you know, where these numbers come from or anything. But he was very clear that we're growing faster than Android if you include all iOS devices. That was clearly a shot at Google. And he mentioned YouTube several times as being cheesy. You know, he did say we've got YouTube on the Apple TV, but earlier he said people want Hollywood content. They want
amateur hour.
They don't want amateur hour was the phrase. Wasn't
amateur hour. I wonder if he's ever watched some of the great web video that goes on.
No
like
kidding.
I wonder if he's ever watched the Guild
sakes.
or.
That pisses me off because he's the one who enabled amateur hour. It's his tools that we use to make this amateur crap.
Exactly.
Good point.
It's your fault that we make it all.
Good point. That's a very good point. And, you know, he did the same thing with podcasting. He really deprecated podcasting before Apple put podcasting into iTunes. He said basically the same thing. It was amateur hour.
Amateur hour is definitely the most offensive thing that was said during the whole time.
And that's aimed at YouTube.
Amateurs wanting to make stuff, Steve. You wouldn't be selling Final Cut. You'd be selling a lot fewer copies of it. Arr.
So Google.
I like when Jeff starts growling.
I know, I do too. I like that face he makes. That.
I haven't even had any Cabernet yet. You just wait.
So I think we're continue with this Apple versus Google thing. Steve was not as aggressive about it as Google was at Google I/O, but it's clear that they still see each other as butting heads over some things. And this YouTube as a streaming paid service is an interesting play against Apple.
Is Facebook going to enter this fray?
Interesting. They could, right?
Yeah.
I'll tell you, of all the people who know how to scale, Facebook seems the best at this. It's unbelievable the amount of traffic they serve with relatively few slowdowns or hiccups.
Leo, was it your point? Somebody made a smart point, and of course I assume all smart points are from one of you, that I heard recently that the reason that Facebook, one of the great keys to Facebook's growth and success was that it could meter its scaling because at first was only Harvard, only Ivy League, only college. And
right.
So on.
That wasn't me, but you're absolutely right. Yep. And so they were able to scale bit by bit. And, by the way, it had a secondary benefit, it created demand.
Yeah.
because, oh, I want to get in there. It's very exclusive. You go from the exclusive, more exclusive to less exclusive. You create demand all along the way. It's too late now. Everybody's got it.
And Gmail did that, right? They were invite only for a long time.
Very smart.
Yeah. The point about having all these products kind of throwing stuff up against the wall and see what sticks. I mean, we have to remember that Gmail was a 20% project, right? So with every 20% project, there's a possibility that it'll become Gmail, right? Which was such a successful product, so successful that they keep adding stuff to it, right? So, that fragmentation, you can kind of understand it a little bit, but for every one success, you're going to have 9 failures.
Sorry about that.
No, it's okay.
I think you're very, very right. I think that, but isn't there a bit of a difference though in the way that they launched Gmail? Oh, let's see what we think of this. It's a beta. We'll not let you in. We're just trying this out. Versus how they launched Wave and Buzz.
Definitely.
That's the problem.
Yeah, Gmail was way more finished when it launched, even in invitation only beta than Wave. Also, Gmail was obvious what it was.
Exactly. It was more finished yet more humble.
Right. Perfect combination.
Yeah.
Finished and humble.
Yes.
Versus unfinished and overweening. And I think you'd have to say that about Wave. When you say, we're going to replace email. And then people try. That's a big mistake marketing-wise.
They aim too high. That was Wave's problem. They just aim too high. Yeah. Too high and too much too fast with nothing that actually, that didn't work the way it needed to work.
You know what? I have to say one thing that this whole conversation encourages me is this stuff is really hard. And that's good because it means no one company, not Microsoft, not IBM, not Apple, not Google, can just march in and say, or Facebook can march in and say, we got it, we'll take it from here, and dominate forever. They can do it for a while, but this stuff is really hard. And at some point, somebody smarter and faster and better and is going to come along, and you're going to have to step aside. What's happening is happening faster and faster. I tell you, 3 years ago, it seemed like, well, Google, there's no way anybody could ever beat Google because they have the index. And it's true. Nobody could beat them at search. It's just that search isn't the end game. There is no end game. Right. There's the next thing and the next thing and the next thing.
Are you using Facebook Places, guys?
I am. I had to re-up.
Yeah, I know.
Embarrassingly enough.
That's like me buying an iPad, yeah.
Did you?
No. My wife won't let me. One of my students in my entrepreneurial journalism class has a business company based on the iPad, and so I tried the trial balloon and said, well, I've been waiting for the thing that makes me have to eat crow and get it. She said, you are not getting it again.
Yeah.
You wasted that money on the restocking fee. You are not doing that.
Both Jeff and I did the YouTube, I give up on this thing, which is always a mistake because it never goes away. And so, yeah, no, I actually was Places that got me back on Facebook because I really needed to understand the privacy implications. I had a dummy account that I'd created last month just to see what the default privacy settings were. And then I realized that I can't do Places unless I have friends because I have to see what the check-ins look like. I have to see how people check me. And so, yeah, I'm basically back on it.
Gina, are you a later Foursquare fan? Are you using Places?
I'm not using Facebook Places. I don't trust Facebook enough with my location data. I am still using Foursquare, and I really like it. And there's just something about Foursquare. I know it's this kind of plucky New York company, and I don't know. I have this trust in them because I just think that they're good at it. But no, I disabled it day one. I was like, I'm turning this off right now.
Well, yeah. If you check in with Foursquare or Scavenger or a lot of other places, you could tie it to Facebook, so it doesn't really matter. You can still check in if you choose. This is the interesting thing about Places. So here I'm checking in at TWiT Cottage, but these are other people at TWiT Cottage who are Facebook friends of mine. I can add them to the check-in.
Oh, boy.
So, I can tag the friends who are with me and check them in. Now, they have to set a privacy setting that says you can't do that.
Right, and you have to set that, right? That's not the default.
Well, this is the other thing with Facebook. It's not clear what the default is.
It's not clear what the default
is.
That's the biggest problem.
I could check all these people, anybody I want to in anytime. But I will check in the people that I know are here. My CEO, Lisa Kensel, and Tom Merritt. I know he's here.
Good thing is they work for you, so what are they going to say?
Yeah, they can't stop me. Go ahead, try and complain. And actually, I should uncheck Darren Kitchen. He's not here today. And then when I'm done, it's now going to check me in with those two people. And if they haven't said anything about it. I've just announced to the world that they're here, which is that's kind of an interesting.
For what it's worth, I don't use Google Latitude either. So
yeah, Latitude's worse. Latitude, you know, if you look at my my Google Chat status message, it's got my exact location all the time as I travel around. People always know where I am. So, and that's kind of the default.
And you don't really get anything back. Zuckerberg said to me that the problem with Latitude is you don't get anything back for that.
You don't.
Right?
But I mean, come on. What do I get back for Foursquare or Places? I get, you know, if I check into my health club, it says you get a free 3-day guest pass.
That's true. But what will your daughter get when it comes to college and seeing friends?
Well, there you go. No, you're absolutely right. And Latitude does this. I can go to Maps, and I can see who's nearby on Latitude if they're my Latitude friends. So you get that from Latitude. Yeah. In fact, kind of a nice way. Everybody's got, you know, Google Maps. It's kind of cool if you turn on the Latitude background.
You get who's near you.
You get who's near you.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen that.
Yeah, that's kind of nice.
Yeah, which Facebook oddly doesn't do.
Yeah. So yeah, the coupons and so forth you don't get from Latitude, but you get the location information. By the way, yes, I can make Latitude citywide, which I do. I don't tell you my home address.
Leo, what happened to Buzz?
I feel bad because I really like Buzz and I like the Buzz team and they're very cooperative, but I'm scared. I got bit by Buzz. So this happened during TWiT on Sunday. And it was very weird. I had Buzz connected to Dig. Kevin Rose was sitting across from me when this happened. I had Buzz connected to Dig so that, you know, the new Dig, and by the way, this turns out to be one of the things people at Dig hate, the diggers hate. The new Dig lets publishers pump feeds in there. So Mashable pumps every story, just as they do, by the way, at Buzz. When Kevin asked me to be part of the beta, they said, what feeds do you want to pump in? I said, well, I'll put in all the TWiT shows, my Buzz feed, and my Delicious feed. And then now that it went public, people said, Leo's spamming us with all these links. So I took everything off and just Delicious. But for a while, everything I buzzed was pumped into Dig as a Doug item. But it was one way. Sunday, now Dig 4 has all sorts of bugs and problems. They put a whole new system up, and it's really messy and breaks a lot and so forth. And somehow, Sunday, my Dig RSS feed changed from stuff that I've dug to everything on the front page. Hundreds of stories I'd never even seen about Paris Hilton and all sorts of crap. Nothing that I ever dug or saw or anything. And this is what I think had to have been a Google Buzz bug, established a reverse direction connection into Buzz.
Oh.
So suddenly, hundreds of stories that I had nothing to do with from the front page of Dig are pumped into Buzz. And I have Buzz Can Tweet turned on. So then from Buzz, it pumped into anybody who saw my Twitter feed. And I'm all of a sudden getting these tweets
it's like a nuclear reaction.
Oh, it was a meltdown. It was.
Yeah.
This is a total meltdown. I don't know how I missed this. I guess I wasn't on Twitter this weekend. Did you clean out your Twitter feed?
Yeah. So what happened is I'm on the air doing TWiT. So I couldn't have done this by the way. I have an alibi. And Kevin's sitting right there. So I said, what happened? And so I went into Buzz, and I immediately turned off. I said, well, how did Dig get pumped and become my connected site? So I turned that off. It turned it back and saved it, and it turned it back on again. So Buzz, there's a bug in Buzz that allowed a third party to change the settings that I had given Buzz.
That's a big bug.
That's a big bug.
Did you talk to the Buzz folks about that?
No, I just quit. Because it was the second big bug in literally 3 days.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, I'll wait till you figure this out. Because I don't really need Buzz. And so I went on Twitter. I said, I'm really sorry. I don't know what happened. I deleted all those messages. I went to Buzz. Now, if you go to Buzz and you say disconnect Buzz, it says, warning, you're going to delete your Google profile, your Google account, and all your buzzes. I said, no, I don't want to do that. I mean, they really scared me. They said, oh, you really want to delete your Google account? So you have to go in, and there's a different setting which says, oh, just I don't want to see Buzz in my Gmail. And then I went into Buzz manually and took out all the connections. So there's nothing coming into Buzz. I also went to Dig, took out all the connections there. I mean, I mean, this was a mess.
Wow.
I lost.
This is fascinating because it is the danger. On one hand, I want these things to connect, right? I want my Apple social and my Facebook social and my Foursquare social to connect, but this is the nightmare.
Right. Yeah, I mean, look, I don't like auto-publishing, but it just made sense that Buzz should go to Twitter. If I'm going to spend all my time in Buzz, that it should go to Twitter so that people can see what I'm talking about. And it made sense briefly for Buzz to go into Dig. I did realize that's really not the aesthetic of Dig. Dig is kind of, you curate. So I do have Delicious going to Dig because those are articles that I pick. So there would be articles I would dig, except I don't want to both Delicious and Dig. And that's why you connect accounts, right? Same kind of content, but you don't want to have to do it twice. So it seems like that's okay to me. Look, I'm not gone from Buzz forever if they figure this out. If they figure it out. But you know what the side effect of this is, and I have to think other people have the same reaction, is I'm going to be very suspicious of a Google Me because, geez, I don't want to have that happen again.
Yeah.
So between the privacy issues they had at the beginning of Buzz, the Buzz deleted me bug that happened to me, and now the Buzz making connections to third-party sites I didn't approve of, do you blame me?
No, it's understandable. It's understandable.
I mean, people said, you're such a drama queen, Leo. I guess I am.
Except that broadcasting is your business.
Yeah.
These are the tools that you're using to do it.
Yeah,
so it's a problem.
I was watching my Twitter follower count physically go down.
Yeah,
I lost hundreds and hundreds of followers.
If you were Comcast or Best Buy and this happened, you'd suffer real economic damage.
Yeah. Well, I certainly suffered reputation damage. I can't tell you how many tweets I got.
Well, you're nice and cuddly. People like you. And a
lot of people went from liking me to not liking me. Oh. That's really what hurt. I got a lot of tweets saying, Leo, you jerk. You're spamming us. What an idiot. I got a lot of vituperation, and that actually was what finally did it, because I don't like people not like me. That hurts my feelings. So
you need to be more like Steve Jobs.
Well, you know, it goes with the game, of course. I get hate mail every day. It's not that you're not going to get hate mail, but I just didn't want it. It wasn't something I did. I don't mind getting hate mail for things I do, but in this case, I had no control over it. I was a victim. So anyway, that's what that's all about. And I apologize to members of the Buzz team because they've been very nice. I like them, and I like Buzz. I wish there were something I could use.
You were the greatest booster.
Oh, now you make me feel terrible.
No, Leo, don't feel bad. I completely understand now.
It was pretty.
I mean,
at the time, it felt bad.
That's bad. And like the whole read-write thing, where like something's writing back to something.
That shouldn't happen. That should not happen.
That's scary stuff.
Yeah. And if that could happen, I mean, you know, what if it discovered my porn accounts? I'm in deep trouble.
Exactly.
So Google bought Social Deck, and this is a company from Canada, Waterloo, Ontario, that is the maker of social games for mobile phones. They're on an acquisition tear, aren't they?
Yeah.
They got this company, was it Angstro? That it looks like they really were trying to get the guy behind Angstro. Do you know what I'm talking about? Am I? Let me see if I can find that article.
There was another article in there about their new focus on acquisitions.
So what does it? Can we put this together and make some sort of coherent narrative around this? Is this all about building Google Me?
Possibly.
Is this their way to do socials games? I can't imagine that. Google's not exactly a game brand.
It's always difficult because you don't know if they're buying the brains and not the intellectual property.
Yeah. Angstro on the 30th, so that was a couple days ago, and Social Deck. I thought word was that Social Deck was about social gaming through mobile. So like being able to game via Android.
Are they going to do what Apple's doing with their own game center?
Yeah, I thought that was one of the articles that we linked in the friend feed.
Yep, that's it. And then Angstro, I did find the article. Angstro is it looks very much like a Google Me. It's a Dr. Rohit Kaur, a software engineer with 2 decades of technical and standards experience at MCI, the World Wide Web Consortium. Know Now, CommerceNet, and it was actually Yahoo's in-house incubator.
This may be about the talent.
Yeah, this was certainly a talent buy. In fact, he wrote an article.
Content.
He wrote an article in December that's called for TechCrunch called "Privacy Theater: Why Social Networks Only Pretend to Protect You."
Ooh,
Yeah.
that sounds very salacious.
Yeah. So they're clearly building a brain trust of something. Now, maybe it's just, and they got Max Levchin from Slide.
Yep.
I have to think this is all around Google Me.
Paid Content had a piece in which they quote analyst Sandeep Agarwal saying that the purchases are more defensive, and they have a little chart there of arguing which ones are offensive and defensive, and arguing that they're aiming at not only at increasing their own revenue, but at hurting competitors. That's why it's defensive.
That makes sense. And if you've got a brain drain and there's a brain out there, you get it. You don't waste time letting brains go. Well, the big Google story, and we're going to get to it in just a moment, of course, and we're glad to know that Gina actually has this, is the new priority inbox.
Gina!
And we're so mad at you, Gina, that you have it. I finally just got the voice chat, the phone calls inside Google Chat. So we'll talk about priority inbox in just a second. Before we do, though, I want to mention our friends at Citrix who do GoToMeeting, the best way to meet online. GoToMeeting builds on that great Citrix backbone of remote access to let you hold meetings anywhere in the world with up to 15 attendees. You can show them what's on your computer. They can take control, show you what's on their computer. It is both a time saver and a meeting galvanizer. I mean, after all, let's face it, conference calls, which are really pretty much how people do these things, are boring, and it's very difficult to keep them on track, keep them productive. As soon as you've got visuals, which you have with GoToMeeting, everybody's on the same page. They can see your screen. They follow along with you. They're more focused, more interested, more engaged, and that means you're more productive. You save time. There's even an iPad app, which I think is so fantastic. For sales presentations, product demos, training sessions, collaboration, weekly update calls, just about any kind of conference call you're making now. It would be so much. Just imagine how much better it would be with GoToMeeting. Well, you don't have to imagine. You could try it free right now for 30 days. 30 days, unlimited meetings, as many meetings as you want, as long as you want. Go to gotomeeting.com/twig. That's all you have to do, and you can sign up for 30 days absolutely free. I think you're going to like it, though, so I should warn you, don't try this unless you're willing to buy it, because you are going to get hooked. Gotomeeting.com/twig. We thank Citrix so much for their support of This Week in Google. So Google has been busy with the rollouts. First, this free phones. I think we talked about that last week.
Yep.
And finally, I got it. Jeff, do you have it yet, the free phone
Not
calls?
on my apps account. I have it only on my regular Gmail account.
Yeah, you won't get it in your apps account, right, Gina?
Oh, it won't?
No.
No, you will, actually. I do have it.
You have it in your apps?
I have it in my apps account. There is a setting in your apps account, Jeff. I think I tweeted it. You have to opt in to pre-release features early. So if you check that box and say, I want new stuff early, then you'll get stuff faster. I don't know what the overall schedule for the Google Apps rollout, but I definitely have Call Phone in my apps account right now.
That's great, because initially they said that we're not going to, it's not enterprise ready. We're not going to put it in apps. So that's good. You just have to say, I know it's not enterprise ready.
Do you have any idea where you do that?
It's kind of buried in this. You have to go into manage this domain, and let's see if I can find this. It's kind of buried in one of these.
Okay, all right. I don't mean to take everybody's time with this. All right.
Well, no, I bet you there are people out there who didn't know this. I didn't know it. I'm about to do it myself. I want to.
So you go to manage this domain, and then it's I believe it's domain settings. And then if you scroll down, it says automatically add new services when they become available. Check that box. And then there's a checkbox that reads enable pre-release features. Certain features launched to consumer users are held back by default from Google Apps until they're more mature. If you select this option, these pre-release features will be enabled for your users. So
how the heck did you find that, Gina?
She's good. She's good.
You could get the Chilean miners out.
Yeah, no kidding.
It's kind of buried. It is kind of buried. But listen, I am deeply interested in getting my Gmail features in my default account.
Yeah. Do you get Buzz that way too? No.
No, Buzz is not in apps.
Yeah. Okay.
It is not an app.
And I've tried it, and the quality is very good. It's free calls to anywhere in the U.S. and Canada. They say at least through the end of the year. My prediction is they'll keep doing that forever. I don't see why they. I mean, it probably doesn't cost them very much, and it's certainly a great way to get people to start using Gmail.
Yep.
And Google Chat. So now, priority inbox. And I wish there were a button I could push to make that happen, because I'm excited about it. Gina, would you describe what this thing does?
This is a really cool feature. When you turn on priority inbox, you get a new inbox in the called priority inbox in the left sidebar. Priority inbox looks at your email activity, the people who you email and chat with the most, and then makes decisions about what are the more important emails. So, you know, if Leo emails me, it's going to automatically get marked as important and goes into priority inbox. So it introduces these two kind of new labels, not important and important stuff goes into priority inbox. So it's like the spam filter, except the opposite. You know, it bubbles up the emails that are most important. So you can train it too. So in fact, just now I'm looking at my priority inbox and I had a message from Meetup. That's not important, right? So I, you know, checked that and said not important. And then from there on in, it'll know not to put, you know, Meetup emails in my priority inbox. I really like this a lot because it really lets you look at your inbox, and instead of it just being reverse chronological, you can see here's email from people who I communicate with, which is obviously going to be something, you know, that's important. And here's the rest of the, you know, the bacon, as they call it, instead of spam.
How well does it work?
It works pretty well. Mine's definitely needed some training. So I got it yesterday morning, and I've been kind of training it as it goes. It's very satisfying, by the way, to mark messages as not important, especially from people you don't like very much.
You are not important.
Not important. And then, you know, marking things as important. So I'm hoping that if the learning, you know, mechanism is good, it's going to be really good. What strikes me about priority inbox is that this is a really good reason to check your Gmail in the web browser, right? Because these are special labels. They don't show up in your you know, client or on Android.
On your phone.
On your phone. Not yet, anyway. I'm hoping to. But this is a really good play. Like, this is Google saying the web browser is the best place to check your Gmail, and I got to tell you, it really is. So I'm digging it. I still, you know, jury's still out. It's only been 2 days, but I've been busy kind of training, marking things as important and not important, and so far I've been really liking it.
I can't wait to get it. Is there any way to force it? No button you can press?
Not that I know of.
Yell at the camera.
We want it.
You think he was being a buzz? Just wait.
This feature is actually really similar to multiple inboxes, which is a Gmail Labs feature, which just adds a few different lists of messages into your, like, a few different inboxes, and then you configure each one. You say, I want all my starred messages that are unread to appear here. So this is just kind of like helping it along, but just imagine it as a spam filter, but the other way around, an important filter.
And it's kind of the same technology, I guess, in a way. I mean, if you know what spam is and you know what's not spam.
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine. And I think that it probably works really well for folks who use Gmail, you know, don't just forward. Like, I think that Gmail needs to know who you actually email. You know, I think it looks at your sent mail and your chat logs to determine that importance. So I don't know how well it'll work for you, Leo. I'll be interested to know.
Yeah. I can't wait to try it. You know, I don't get most of my mail in Gmail, so it's not a great test. I'm starting to think, you know, we finally got moved the corporate email to Google Apps, and I'm starting to think maybe I should get off fast mail, which is
it's pretty great, Gmail.
Yeah.
It
is pretty great. I'd be interested to see if it was enough for you, Leo, because I'm sure that you do stuff with your email that none of us even want to imagine in our worst moment.
Well, I'll tell you, mostly I use Fastmail supports a scripting language called Civ that I use for some pretty heavy processing.
Some crazy filters.
Yeah, it's more than just filters. It's all sorts of processing. You can do things like, well, if it's got more than 3 CCs and my name is repeated more than once, but it comes from one of my, you can do all sorts of if clauses.
That's really nice.
Now the algorithm does it for you. The algorithm's writing those formulae.
Yeah, but I do more than just spam. I mean, I'm doing all sorts of folder filtering and things like that. I can, you know, it'd be a good experiment.
It would be interesting.
A little nerve-wracking, but I might well try it.
You know, this approach is, last summer I got in trouble for saying this too often, but I haven't said it in months. This approach is Marissa Meyer's hyper-personal news stream. And if Google can watch what you read in email, and then it can also watch other things you do, that should have been buzz.
Yeah.
What you search for and other things, it can prioritize a lot of life.
Right.
And save you time. As scary as that sounds, it saves you time in the end. If I answer an email from someone who I'd want to get back to quickly, you know, that otherwise would have just flowed down into my inbox, that saves me time. You
know, it's neat. I mean, it's really the first time in years we've seen a new take on email. I mean, you know, email's pretty basic.
Wave aside.
Yeah, wave aside. It's a pretty basic functionality, and this is a good idea.
Oh, it's huge.
It is, and Google has the technology to do this, right? I mean, if they have all your activity and they have these, sort of awesome engines to classify spam and to rank search results. I mean, if it's as good as its search results, then it's a really good feature. And again, it's gonna get people back into the web browser with Gmail. I don't think that people. I think that most people do love it.
Yeah.
Use it in the browser.
I imagine that it'll soon be in the cultural argot. What you just said a minute ago. Hey, lay off or I'm going to not important you.
You're not important.
Oh, sorry. My Gmail marked you as not important.
Was it wrong? What, did it make a mistake?
Oh, I got caught in my spam filter. It'd be the new caught in my spam filter.
Golly.
Exactly.
Golly. All right. Well, I can't wait to get it. It sounds like a really interesting update. Yeah. All right, let us, I think, go to our, wrap this thing up with our tool, number, and tip of the week, starting with Gina Trapani from smarterware.org and her tool of the week.
My tool of the week or my tip of the week?
Tip of the week. I'm a tool, you're a tip.
This one's for aspirational programmers. I get people asking me all the time, like, I want to learn how to code and I don't know where to start. I think probably most of the people that listen to this show are pretty savvy and have kind of probably played with code a little bit at least. And this was new to me. I'm not sure how long it's been around, but it was new to me. Google Code University. If you go to code.google.com/edu, it's got all these free courses on kind of like googly languages. And when I say googly languages, I mean like Python, Java, Go, HTML5, C++. And it's a bunch of like free courses, and they're geared toward relative beginners. So if you're, an autodidact, the type that can kind of pick up a book and learn something, there's some good syllabi. Excuse me, here my Latin teacher would smack me. Syllabi here, and some good tutorials to work through. Get you to that hello world and some of the more Google-friendly languages.
It seems a little spotty in terms of its coverage. I mean, you're not going to get thorough coverage. Then under Java, it's got the Java memory model and effective static race detection.
Yeah.
But if you're interested in effective static race detection, you are set, man.
But if you click on like Android in the sidebar under courses, if you click on Android, there's some Android application development, and that's Java or Python. And if there's web programming, so you have some Ajax and some HTML5.
Oh, this is great. Oh, this is really
there's some good there's some good stuff here. It's not all hosted at Google. Some of it is hosted elsewhere.
This is Cal Poly, for instance, and here's one from North Carolina State. So
HTML5rocks.com,
this
which is a great site. Yeah, so it's a good resource for folks who are just interested in maybe working through a tutorial or two and getting their programming chops.
The CPE CSC 409 Special Topics on Software Engineering at Cal Poly. I love it that universities are starting to put this stuff online. I think that's just, amazing. Oh, good.
By the way, I can't remember. Did both of you get into the App Inventor?
I did.
Oh, you did? I didn't.
You didn't? You did the Hello World. That's right, Gina. You didn't.
I did not.
Yeah. Well,
that was a long time ago.
I just got in last week.
Oh, okay.
I think they're just going out now.
Have you Hello Worlded yet?
No. TechCrunch got it like right away, but we little minions.
That's it. The shine was gone for Leo. He's like, whatever. Hello, this.
Hello. Yeah. Hello, right here. No, I'm going to do it. I just haven't gotten around to it. But see, I'm also playing with real Android development, but so I don't know if I want to kind of start doing something that's that simple. But it's a great idea for Google to do that. Absolutely. Your number of the week. Well, by the way, we should just repeat. That's code.google.com/edu.
Yep.
For the Google University. Your number of the week, Mr. J.
I'll try to. Trender says that during the Apple announcement, there were as many as 6,000 tweets a minute.
Wow.
On the topic of various topics. And then the other one I love is, I just got this today, that 61% of Iceland is on Facebook. That's it.
61% of Iceland. I'm surprised it's not more, actually.
It's that or fishing,
Oh, no. Let me tell you, those Icelanders, when the sun comes out, the clothes go off. They're very, they like to make hay while the sun shines, shall we say. So I'm not surprised they're actually fairly active on Facebook.
They're hooking up all they can, making plans from when the sun comes out.
When you get long winters, the hookups become so important.
Igloos, keep space cooking, keep you warm.
I have a couple of tools. There's a fellow in the chat room been asking over and over again, and I realize that we haven't talked much about it. You know, if you do get to Froyo, and a lot of people are in Froyo now, the Incredible just got Froyo, Droid 2 have Froyo, you know, Android operating system 2.2. The way task killers work has changed. And in fact, I think it was Google's intent that you not need a task killer in 2.2, that it should just work automatically. And they certainly put a lot of underpinnings under there to make, you know, programs that are done go away, not use up resources and so forth. It does, you know, occasionally happen. But yeah, most of the task killers no longer, it's not that they crash or maybe, you know, don't apparently work, but they really aren't doing anything. What I've done is I've switched from a task killer, and I mentioned this before, but this would be a time to re-mention it, to something called Watchdog, which is probably better for Froyo use. What it does is it monitors CPU usage. So I have a little widget, the Watchdog widget here, but I'll launch Watchdog. And what it's doing is it will warn you. It'll actually give you an alert, and you have a variety of ways of receiving that alert. If somebody starts to hog the CPU, and you can get, you see I got an alert from a ClickSet application that it was up to 80% CPU usage. You can set the threshold. And then, this is like top, Gina, or anybody who's used a Unix command line. Basically, you're going to get top here, which will show CPU usage, memory usage, and so forth. And you can individually kill runaway apps, which is probably all you need to do. And the creator of Watchdog, the reason I know this, has written a fairly long explanation of why task killers don't work as well in under 2.2 and why you might want to use a program like this. This actually is a great program. It's called Watchdog. I think it's $1, $2 in the store. But here's my free pick. This is my actual tool. No, it's not Facebook. It's this. Very cool. It's called Awesome Drop. Now, I've just launched Awesome Drop, and it says, get your pin at labs.dashwire.com. So let me just quickly type in labs.dashwire.com. This does require, I think, 2.0 or later. And when I go to labs.dashwire.com, there's a pin. You might say, well, what the heck is that all about? Well, I'm going to enter that pin now into my Android device. This is a Droid X. It's connecting. Now it's connected to what? To my browser. And this browser, I can drag and drop files from my desktop to the browser. Let me get a file here.
That is brilliant.
I drag it here. It starts copying it to my phone. And there it is, picture1.png. And I can view it in the Astro. That was just copied over from this picture, just copied over by drag and drop from there.
Wow.
Is that slick?
That's awesome, because you always forget your freaking USB cable, right?
Yeah, I don't need it.
And you don't want to email it.
It goes over 3G or I mean, you don't even have to be on the same network for this to work. It goes over the internet. Now it's using the HTML5 drag and drop feature, so you really pretty much have to use it with Chrome. I guess it might work with Safari, but hey, who doesn't use Chrome here? So that is a really slick program. It's called Awesome Drop. It's absolutely free. It's on the marketplace if you want to get it. AWESOME Drop, D-R-O-P, by Dashwire, and I think that's a pretty darn slick demonstration of what HTML5 can do. Drag and drop to your browser, and then to your phone. Works over Wi-Fi and 3G, and as you see, it works fast and it's easy to use.
Very cool.
Yeah.
We should mention that Arcade Fire thing. Speaking of
oh, you want to do that?
HTML5.
Should we do it real quickly? Tell me about this. What is it?
It's a Chrome experiment. It's basically, it's an Arcade Fire song and music video, but like in your browser, it pops all kinds of different windows and it's customized. So the whole concept of the video is that it's someone's running to your childhood home. It's kind of remembering your childhood, if I understand this correctly. So when you go to the site, it asks you for the address of the place where you grew up, which is kind of a personal question to be asked by a website you don't really know. But if you do it,
make up a street, make up a city.
Make up an address. Yeah. And then you hit go and it creates this really cool music video with and do this in Chrome. It pops up all different windows with like really neat animations and video, and it's somebody kind of running through the streets using Google Maps. going to your address.
Even the font is animated.
Yeah, don't touch the windows, though, because the first time I ran this, I started to rearrange the windows. You know how you just jump in there, wait a minute, that's wrong, and that screws it up. So don't mess with the windows. Let it do it. Now, there's one error here, if you ask me. I can't believe HTML5 doesn't allow you to get rid of the title bar and the URL window on a window. But maybe,
it's got to.
It's crazy, but maybe JavaScript crazy. Will do that. So maybe they decided to leave that in. But you see, it's going to pop up new browser. It's like when you go to one of those porn storm sites. It's the second time I've mentioned porn on this show. Really, I'm not a sick pervert. Purely for research.
But there's that little window at the bottom right-hand corner where you can pause and mute it. So you've actually, it's kind of a new way to do video in multi-windows.
It's really interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's neat.
It's playing the Arcade Fire song now, but in a little bit it'll start pulling up images. I put Petaluma in as my hometown. It'll pull up Street View images, and that will tie into the lyrics of the song. There it is. There's Petaluma. And you see the birds flying across, and you even see a dot where the guy is running. So it's kind of an interesting.
I didn't see that.
Yeah. Kind of an interesting use of HTML5. It's an experiment. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, it's eye candy, but it's fun eye candy.
Yeah, pretty neat. Gina Trapani is eye candy. We know that absolutely from smarterware.org. She's also writing and working for fastcompany.com. You can see her new series on Fast Company. It's fastcompany.com/worksmarter.
Work smart.
Work smart.
Yep.
No. And
Leo will be in a video in an upcoming week.
Yes, you'll see me someday soon. Jeff Jarvis is the author of What Would Google Do? He also blogs at buzzmachine.com and is a professor of journalism at the City University of New York. You were looking for, I saw a tweet, you said you had, you were looking for another grad student, or what was that all about?
I teach entrepreneurial journalism, and if there's someone in New York, especially unemployed journalists, but others, I have a little bit of space in the class.
Oh, neat.
So go to my blog, buzzmachine.com, and see the description of the course, and I'll accept a few people based on kind of the mix of the course.
Wow, I've never heard of a professor advertising on Twitter. That's a first. Of course, it would be Jeff that would do that.
Jeff is Professor 2.0.
He's Professor 2.0, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all for being here. We really appreciate you spending time with us. We do this show live if you want to watch, 1 p.m. Pacific, 1300 UTC, 4 p.m. Eastern Time at live.twit.tv every Wednesday. And, of course, you can always subscribe to the show and get it at your convenience by going to twit.tv/twig, Twig. Thanks for being here. We'll see you next time on This Week in Google.